Welcome to the Italian Wine Podcast. This episode is brought to you by Vinitaly International Academy, announcing the 24th of our Italian Wine Ambassador courses to be held in London, Austria, and Hong Kong from the 27th to the 29th of July. Are you up for the challenge of this demanding course? Do you want to be the next Italian Wine Ambassador? Learn more and apply now at vinitalyinternational.com.
Hello, everybody. My name is Polly Hammond, and you are listening to Uncorked, the Italian wine podcast series about all things marketing and communication. Join me each week for candid conversations with experts from within and beyond the wine world as we explore what it takes to build a profitable business in today's constantly shifting environment. Today, we welcome Lis Clement, director of Bodega Clément, her family's vineyards and winery in Mendoza, Argentina. Before she took the reins of the wine business, Lis served as marketing and communication manager for Wines of Argentina, where she created World Malbec Day. She led a guerrilla marketing strategy to launch an engaging bag-and-box brand and founded Foster Newton, her own successful wine marketing agency. As you can imagine, I am super excited to talk with Lis. Let's get into it. Welcome, Lis. I'm really excited to have you here today. You and I met in November at the Bulk Wine Fair in Amsterdam. And the thing that so much impressed me about you is that you just weren't boring. Like, I was in this room full of people, I'm sorry to say, but I was in this room full of people where so many of them, they weren't exciting and they weren't dynamic. And I had a chance to talk with you and your winemaker and see the wines and hear about some of the stuff that you're doing. And there just was not a single bit of boringness anywhere. And I've been wanting to have you on since then. So thank you for being here.
No, thank you, Polly. Thank you. The thing is, I think it's because I get bored. And I see, I have quite a long background in the wine industry. I have been working in the wine industry for more than 20 years now. And I have gone through all the process, like being in love with wine and then like trying to see some different things and trying to shake things up a little bit, because all like sometimes can be so classic. I mean, in terms of marketing communications, you have the winemaker, the grape, the vineyard, the awards and recognitions, and the winery, and then that's it. Like the value proposition doesn't change from those things. And in Argentina, it's almost like everything is Malbec. Everything is Malbec from one specific region, and everything is Malbec from Mendoza, and then a few awards and recognitions, and you can stop counting there. And the thing is that I love innovation. I love exciting new things, and I try to put that, of course, in my product. So thank you for that. I'm glad that it shows, like
it comes through. Yeah. And also, I mean, again, I'm going to get myself in trouble with the bulk wine producers on this one, but you were one of the only women in the room leading your stand, which was something else that I really remarked upon in that space. And it has been pointed out to me a few times that I might have a preponderance of women on my podcast, and I am completely okay with that.
Yeah.
So just for everyone who isn't familiar with the brand, give us a little bit of the lowdown on Bodega Clément, what it is, where you guys are, a little bit of the history, and then we can kind of dig into some of the interesting things that you're doing.
Yes. So our company was born when my father bought a few plain land in eastern Mendoza 23 years ago. He was planning it to be his retirement plan. But you see him now, he's 73 years old, and he's more active than ever. He's like super excited, full of hopes and dreams. So it's not kind of a retirement per se. Actually, it's a company that's full growing. So 23 years ago, my father planted the first vineyards in the eastern side part of Mendoza. Now we have 260 hectares under vine, and we mainly focus on red varieties. We do have some white variety, orange wine, but the focus is on reds, mainly because of the wines that we could produce in that region of Mendoza. And last year we started our first steps as winemakers because we were selling the grapes. We were selling the grapes to these very high quality vineyard wineries in Mendoza. And after 23 years, we said, okay, maybe it's time that we produce the wine. And it came to be something very familiar because you said our winemaker, he's a young winemaker that he has won this recognition of Revelation Winemaker of the Year by Patricio Tapia, the Descorchados Guide, which is very important in South America. He's 26 years old and he's my cousin. So it came to be something very natural and organic for us to be in the Sunday pasta and to start thinking and dreaming about producing our wines. And we bought a winery last year. 2021 was
not a small one either. No. Didn't edge your way into this, did you?
Yeah, no. It was an opportunity. It was a winery that has been inactive for 10 years, and it was like a jewel to find in the region where we are in. It's 100 years old, so it's 10 million liters capacity. So
wow,
yes. So since it has an old structure, we have tanks of 1 million liter. Now we are dividing all the tanks because, of course, we want to make quality. And so with a 1 million liter tank, it's not that easy. And now the bet is to crush the wines on the 2023 harvest there, and to keep growing. We have a portfolio of bottled wine. They are called Finca Feliz, and we try to do something very different from the Malbec, the original, not original, but traditional Malbecs that you may be used to drinking.
That people associate with Argentina. I actually want to come back to the wine brand. But first, I kind of want to back up because, when I was doing my research, I already knew about the work that you're doing with the winery there, but then I started finding these little things that were super interesting. So, okay. The big thing, let's get out of the way, is even though you say everybody hears Argentina and they think Malbec, you actually played a little bit of a part in that, or maybe a not so little bit of a part in that. You were in charge of marketing and communications for the Wines of Argentina.
Yeah.
And during your tenure there, you launched a very tiny little thing called World Malbec Day.
Yes, well, I was marketing and communications manager in Wines of Argentina. And of course, my job was to promote Argentine wines abroad, and Malbec is our flag, of course, everybody knows. And back then, in 2010, when I started to develop the project, the celebration days for a brand or for a product weren't as popular as now. I mean, I don't know how I reckon it's worldwide, but every day you hear on the radio, today is hamburger day, today is, but maybe back then it wasn't as popular. And so I developed a project to celebrate Malbec worldwide. And I think it became to be a very successful platform for marketers to promote not only Malbec, but Argentine wine itself. And I remember when we started it, we were seeing increase in sales very, very rapid, very quickly.
Really? So you
yes.
could actually measure that
Yes.
it was being effective, which I think
Yes.
is one of the things that a lot of times now, and sometimes it's because it's smaller regions or even brands, who are trying to launch these sort of worldwide campaigns. And it's becoming increasingly difficult
Yes.
to gain the data and understand if it's got any success rate other than just chatter, right?
Yes, absolutely.
So that's interesting. So you were able to track that, which
Yes.
obviously as a marketer
Yes.
makes you very happy.
Yes. We worked with different chains, for instance, Waitrose, specifically in the UK, and the sales. I mean, like one specific example, of course, of Argentine wine overall grew in a period of 1 year by 70% in 1 month.
Wow.
So compared April 2011, 2012, they grew 70%. So yeah, I mean, like as marketer, of course, it's your dream to be able to create something that actually has a proper impact on sales. Because yes, one of the problems as marketers or as communicators we have is actually to see that our ideas have a truly impact on sales. Because when we do a communication plan, most of the cases, or in many cases, we say like, this is to build brand. And companies look at us like, okay, but can you?
Where's the money?
Exactly.
Yeah.
No, it's a long run bet. Yeah, I know that, but yeah. So with Malbec World Day, what I could actually see is the true impact on sales, and to be able to contribute to a larger thing for our local economy, like for our region, for our producers, to give them a tool that actually worked.
And continues to work for them, because it has been there for so long. So I know that you, so coming from the very traditional Malbec promotion space, one of the things that I read you were really interested in was actually this notion of conveying under separate campaigns, the contemporary side of Argentine wines, because as you say, people think, Argentina, Mendoza, Malbec.
Yeah.
But there's a lot more going on with that.
Yeah.
Was that something that you were able to do while you were at Wines of Argentina, or did you actually have to leave the regional establishment to be able to undertake, non-traditional communication and marketing?
Yeah, well, after working at Wines of Argentina, I worked for a brief period at Peñaflor Group. For those of you who don't know, Peñaflor Group is Argentina's largest wine group. It's the 5th in the world. It has brands such as Trapiche, Finca Las Moras, Bodega They are huge. They represent 20% of our whole export market. And I was coming from Wines of Argentina. I could do very innovative things because it was a dynamic organization and it was small. So I feel I could really make an impact. When I worked at Peñaflor Group, I found that bureaucracy and maybe the a more corporate style of winery didn't allow me to actually explore truly innovative ideas. So I found that the company itself didn't allow me to explore innovation, which is what I'm most interested in. But after that, I started my own wine marketing agency. I had it for 5 years. And I work with amazing projects like for Wines of Patagonia, which was a truly a challenge, and it was amazing because I could see all the wineries that are in the Patagonia region, some very, very new and cutting edge, and some very, very old, 150 years old, which is for Argentina, it's quite a lot. And in the agency, I tried to push as much as I can I could innovation and new ideas. But what I found is that wine producers are still very traditional and classic, and it's very hard to move from the starter pack or the classical pack of you don't move from this is the wine.
This is how things are done.
Exactly.
Right?
This is the wine. This is the region. This is the grape. This is the winemaker. And I mean, like, it was a very interesting stage of my career to have lots and lots of clients. Like, we are colleagues, Polly. You are doing the same thing.
I know. This is why I'm so glad to talk with you. And I will say what's super interesting for me to hear from you, because I don't really have, I don't know if you feel the same way. I don't really have that many colleagues who do the same thing that I do and kind of work the same way that we do. And we learned the hard way that we don't take corporate clients, because every time we've ever had a corporate client, the sort of like up down of decision making, the decision making tree is so multi-layered. You can never get anything across the line. You can't do anything that breaks the mold, because they have so much structure in place. It's just, set in stone. And then when I started my business, because I was just like you, I was looking at wine and I was like, wow, a lot of this is so same. We actually from day one have just said to people, you know what, if you want traditional wine marketing, we're not your people. We'll happily direct you to someone else who is, because some of it is, you look at it and you're like, this isn't going to work. But then the other part of it is, it's just fucking boring. Like, as the marketer, because if you've got one brand, you're working with one brand. If you're an agency, you're working with 24 brands at a time. And if they're all doing the same thing.
Yeah.
Ugh.
Yeah. Absolutely. Yeah.
But you actually practice what you preach. So a couple things. You launched a bag-in-box wine.
Yes.
Back in the day, before we were all harping on alternative packaging. And so your Instagram and Facebook account for the Hollywood wine is still online.
Yes.
And it is young and it's vibrant. And there's like a picture of Catherine Zeta-Jones with stars over her nipples, things like that. And I'm just looking at this and I'm thinking, oh my God, this was really before there were a lot of people looking at wine this way. So tell me a little bit about that project.
Well, as I was telling you, I was working in the wine in my agency, and I was proposing new ideas for many, many clients, and they were rejecting them all. So I was like, come on, guys, please. And then I said, like, okay, I'm done with it. I am going to do it. Of course, I had the vineyards of my family, so I could sort the wine. And I said, like, okay, I'm going to break every single code I can.
Nice.
Yes. So Hollywood for me was to set something completely new from the ground. And I tried to break every single code from the beginning. I didn't put Malbec on the label, even though I could do it, but I decided purposely not to do it. So the brand and the packaging, if you see the packaging, it's just a plain white little box that says Hollywood, that says Vino Tinto, red wine. And I wanted people to know that actually you didn't need all the heavy bottle and the stamping label and all this, like a lot of quality signs maybe that you use
the
in the wine.
Hold grapes and the
exactly.
Yes.
So I wanted to come through with a very clear message. You really don't need all those things to drink a great wine. So it was. In my days from Wines of Argentina and Peñaflor, I knew really well how to create a love brand. What did you need to create a love brand? So I actually I think I was successful because people, these measurements you use, right? Like organic followers, organic messages, like people commenting it on social media. Like it really created a strong buzz within Argentina. People were looking at the product, and like people. I remember seeing like people using our campaign posters as background on their cell phones, and I was like, what? Like, show me your
wow,
like those things. Like, oh,
that's
my
awesome.
God, yeah, yes, because we did like this. It's called guerrilla marketing. I don't know how it is.
Yes, guerrilla marketing.
Guerrilla marketing.
Yep.
With 4 different stages, so we were like breaking all the codes. But there's always a but. I found that to move volume in Argentina, again, you have to be whether a very, very, very large company, at least for Argentine standards, or the investment had to be way, way, way more to sustain at least a bag-in-box wine. So the bag-in-box itself was very.
Do you think that would be different now? Sort of with the proliferation of alternative packaging and the interest in bag-in-box? Like if you went out with that today, post-COVID, there's been an uptick in domestic sales, is my understanding, in Argentina, and we're all worried about climate change.
Yeah.
Do you think that would shift, or do you think it still would be just as hard?
Yes. I think yes. I'm thinking on relaunching it.
Okay.
Yes.
So, one of the things that interests me, and I'll put a link to the Hollywood Instagram account in the podcast description, is that we as marketers are so vilified in wine. Like the wine world wants to blame the marketers for every bad decision that gets made. And I really like the fact that you went out with something that any marketer, like a good marketer, would look at it and be like, yeah, I understand exactly why she did that, because it was super minimal. It's a white box with black writing on the side of it. There's none of the tropes that get blamed on marketers. And I looked at it and I was like, this is an example of how a marketer would test the concepts to prove that it could be done. And that's really what made that stand out to me, is I was like, yeah, I totally understand that. And also you yourself are super creative. So it's not like you didn't have any ideas to do, this is an intentional business decision to go out with something that looks like that.
At the moment, there was a huge marketing trend called normcore. It was came from the fashion industry, right? And it also, like when I had the agency, I had 7 employees. All of them were millennials or centennials. So I had this tiny focus group every single day in my office. And I was seeing like the way they behave, the way that they what music they like, what they consume, like, and I had like this, I thought it was an active thing to analyze and to use. So I had this amazing group of creative people with me, and they inspired me to go with the thing. And I mean, like, what I think is that what I would have loved to have done there is to be able to launch. I was working on a can of sparkling Hollywood, and actually we did some tests and it went really, really well. But I found the wall of the industry. For my personal life, I had to go. I moved to the UK, so I actually changed lots of things in my life, so I couldn't continue with the project. But I think it was groundbreaking. It made a lot of noise within Argentina, and my dream is to give it life back
to go there again.
Yes.
So was it at about the same time and with your millennial crew that you launched Wine Beats?
Yes. So before
So
that,
tell me about that.
yes.
Yeah, I'm really interested.
Yes. So Wine Beats was we picked the best wineries with the best settings of Mendoza, and we did music parties in the wineries, bringing all the youngsters and the young people and musicians to the
DJs.
wineries, and musicians of high like I don't know, high end musicians. Sorry for my English.
Yeah.
But yeah, they came from Chile. We brought bands from Chile, from Peru, from Brazil, from Buenos Aires to come and play in the wineries with amazing settings. So of course you had people like young people drinking wine in your winery with I don't know, a band like Coiffeur, which is an amazing band here. And we tried to shake things up in the wine world again, to bring young people to the scene, to the wine scene. And wineries love that because we deliver the full package of creativity, music, PR, public relations, press, content for social media. So we did like this was a product for the winery. So you want to have an amazing PR stand. I don't know if you say that, but like that.
Yeah.
But you had it like with Wine Beats. So we did 10 of these events in wineries in different settings that are like dreamy. And after that, several projects started coming. I remember one that was Wine Groove, and it was like the same thing. And I was like, okay, try to be more creative.
Yes. Flattery.
Yeah,
there you go. Imitation.
Yeah.
It never really makes you feel that good when you see it. I've heard that often enough. So I'm like you. I'm the oldest person on my team, and I say all the time, I've been a real advocate for better recognition and representation of people who are younger than Gen X in wine. And the thing that I notice makes the biggest difference in my brand, it sounds like in yours, and then in the wine companies that we work with, is actually hiring those people, like having those people in the room with you or in a remote space, with you, where they are contributing to the marketing and communication. And they are like your own little focus group that they can say, the yes, no, pass or fail test on it. And too often, and I do think that this is kind of a European, especially a Napa thing, what you end up with is a bunch of 55-year-old men sitting around a table being like, what would millennials like? Instead of just going out and saying, well, how about we just get some millennials and ask what they would like?
Yes, there's a video on YouTube that I sometimes share in classes, that is like the classical millennial ad that or boomers marketers think that what millennials like. It's hilarious. It's ridiculous. But I understand at my time at Wines of Argentina or Peñaflor Group, my bosses were obsessed with millennials. They were obsessed. They were like confused. They were like, we have to understand them. We have to, and they didn't. At the end of the day, they didn't. It was the ads that we could produce at the end of the day were their idea of what a millennial was and what they could like, but it was like so forced. You could see like it wasn't going to work. It was like this. They were confused millennials with hipsters and with specific kind of, like the beard and the glasses. So it was like a repetition of a repetition. And I was bored of that as well. I mean, I don't know if bored is the word. It's like, I was like,
it's uninspiring.
You're not going to, to create a brand with that. I mean, like, I understand it's like how people maybe look now, but that doesn't have to do anything with actually behaviors or true interest or behaviors like how they
Yeah.
consume wine. I remember I went to here. It was a very famous like party in Mendoza. It was called Club del Sodiado. Sodiado here in Argentina is wine with sparkling wine, with soda. We call it soda. And youngsters were drinking wine with soda or with sparkling with water. And youngsters were dancing cumbia and reggaeton and drinking wine. And I was like, there's something going on here, like, because I spent so many years working at wineries, and they were saying, we have to appeal to young consumers. We have to appeal to young consumers because young consumers are the future, and nobody's drinking wine. We have to make the wine appeal for them. Right. And I was watching this and I was like, you have something going on here. You have to be inside what was really happening, not in your office thinking that a millennial is a hipster and has a beard and a weird mustache. So I tried with Hollywood. I was like, okay, you don't want to do it, I will do it. Yes. So
and now you have control of the family's brands.
Yes.
So here's, right off the bat, we've got a marketer running a successful wine brand. So my first question is, how does that marketing brain, how is the experience as a marketer leading a wine brand or a wine business different from so many of the examples that you and I have just talked about? How are you looking at things differently? How are you embracing things like short-term versus long-term return on marketing spend? Yeah. So just tell me a little bit about that.
It's certainly the most important challenge of my life and my career. I have 50 people that I have to take care of. And what I see in terms of marketing and our offer is that I still want to do things differently, and I want to show the world what we can do, and it doesn't necessarily have to be aligned with what the market expects us to have. So again, when you go abroad and you see Argentina is only Malbec, and it's not only boring. I mean, like, you could say it's boring, but it doesn't even matter if it's going to sell well, right? But
it's not very differentiated. Like, if we're getting into some of the marketing language, how are you going to stand out in a marketplace when you're doing the exact same thing as all of your neighbors?
So now my big challenge, I mean, like, for me, my dream is to see our criolla, the criolla or the criolla, stand out as an important figure of Argentine wine. So maybe it's like what Catena did 30 years ago with Malbec, and now we are starting to do it with criolla. So criolla criolla is the missionary grape, the uva país in Chile. Here it's called criolla. Criolla chica is the first grape that came to America from Spain. The grape that the priests used for the mass, and for many years, this grape was considered low quality wines, volume wines, only for bulk. But now we are producing it with much more care and technology and different style, fresh. We're trying to do some, like, our little Pinot Noir, I like to say. And, like, we have so many hectares. So, like, we have more criolla than we have Malbec planted in Argentina.
Well, that was the thing that stood out when I met you at the bulk wine fair, because everyone is there with their bulk wines, and you're like, wait, we actually have some finished wines as well.
Yes.
Let's go through them. And I tried it, and I remember turning around to your winemaker and saying, is this your response to all of the other criolla in the room? And he was like, yeah, absolutely.
Yes.
You know, like it's a very mindful direction to go with the production and with the bottling.
And yeah, with the bottles of, Finca Feliz, which is my new brand of bottles, we didn't actually...
Was that your baby? Did you get to create that when you came on board as the director?
Yes.
Nice.
Yes.
Yeah.
So we didn't produce any Malbec first vintage. Now we are producing a Malbec, but it's organic, and I'm calling it Malbec Ecológico, because it's bigger than only organic, right? It's like, I want to show that it's also the people, it's the animals that live in the vineyard. It's much more than only organic.
Wow.
But yeah, I didn't want to start with like the old suspect, which is Malbec. So we did a Criolla, we did an orange of Pedro Jimenez. Pedro Jimenez also, at least here in Argentina, is a grape that you can maybe ask a winemaker, and he would say like, I'm not so sure about it. But the way we produce it, like very traditional, ancient style, it has given us fresh, super fruity wines, a floral.
And that's your amphora wine, right? Isn't that an amphora wine?
Yes.
Yeah. Okay, so we've got an orange wine.
Yes.
An orange amphora wine coming out of Mendoza,
absolutely,
right? So we're just blowing away stereotypes.
Yes. Exactly. Yeah, blowing away stereotypes. And a Bonarda, our red, that from our region, Bonardas are super juicy, super fresh, concentrated in colors, but not as much as in the mouth. It's lighter, it's fresh. It's a very nice red. So I try to say like, okay, like sometimes I like to go against the flow. I think you get better results there. So I will go against the flow. I think that's my nature. And going against the flow is like, okay, do you want to go to, I don't know, Altamira or to a very high place in the mountain to make Malbec? Okay, I will go to the desert and make a Criolla.
Yeah.
And make more money with it.
We marketers are just contrarians.
Yes.
Is what it is. Yes. We're like, I'm just going to show you that it can be done, and it can be done successfully.
Yes.
So some of my research was showing that Argentina had a huge spike in domestic sales during COVID lockdown. Mm-hmm. Do you sell domestically as well as internationally?
Yes. So
where are your markets?
So now, for bulk wine, it's Argentina and Sweden. I mean, for bottles as well. So our first client for the bottles was from Sweden. We had him on Saturday. He came visiting us, and now we are.
Sweden was your first market.
My first market. Yes, I know. Like for market, it's like in Sweden, it's innovation, it's design, it's art. They know what to do. So I was quite honored to have our first client from Sweden, and he came to visit us this weekend, and to Brazil as well. So Brazil, they love the Criolla because it's light. It's a light red. It's light. It's fresh. So you don't have to push something that is bolder, and so it's more heavier style. So yeah, it makes sense that at least for, like the kind of labels that we're working with in Finca Feliz, Sweden and Brazil are our first clients. And
I'll put the link, like I said, I'll put the link in the description because the labels stand out, and the labels would look great on alternative packaging too. Just saying.
I know.
How do you, if you can talk about it, how do you mitigate the external factors that you deal with? I'm assuming as an Argentinian wine producer.
You wouldn't imagine like how hard it is to make business in Argentina. Like it's like a machine of impediments, basically. So everything you do is, of course, taxed. Like you have taxes. You do a step one way, you have a tax. You do a step the other day, you have a tax. Tax, so very heavily taxed, and not that easy to make business when you have low access to credits, to loans, to of course make your business grow. But on the other side, you have very high, good quality of human resources here in Argentina. So people are quite well educated, and you have like maybe cheap human resources to make your business grow. But it's still like much more harder than to make business. I mean, at least for our country, our neighbor Chile, for instance. Chile has a more open economy, and it's easier for them to at least be entrepreneurs. But I cannot complain. I mean, like it's definitely harder, most of all tax-wise. But hey, I mean, like it's interesting.
It is what it is.
Yeah.
I mean, it's one of these things that the longer I'm in wine and the more that I learn, it's like every area has their own natural disaster. But in fact, what we get in wine is that every area has their impediment external factor, whether it's shipping and regulation, whether it's currency fluctuations and political instability, whether it's completely entrenched sales systems, and we all think whatever we have is the hardest that anybody else in the whole wide world deals with.
Yes.
I go through it with clients where it's like the most boring part of the marketing strategy work, but I make them sit there over a course of days and go through all of the external factors, right, that can impact their business. And I always say, if you can get through sort of these 3 days and still be willing to go forward in wine, you're probably pretty good, but it's the not doing it and not seeing that, oh, look, you're going to have the problems in your domestic market. But then if you try to be an exporter, you're also going to experience all the problems in all of those other markets as well. I mean, I feel for the wine industry, and this is why I'm really enjoying talking to you, because people have said to me, oh, would you want to produce your own wine brand? And I'm always like, not a ghost chance in hell, no. I'm perfectly happy helping everybody else with theirs.
How do you find I mean, if I can ask you, like
of course,
how do you find working with, I'm interested on your side of the innovation projects that you can pitch to your clients. How do you
what are my experiences with it?
Your experience, like the feedback of the clients, basically.
Okay, so there were some interesting things. So I've been doing this for 7 years now with Five Forest, and things that I wouldn't have predicted. The most innovative, adaptable, like the agile brands, the brands who absolutely kicked ass through COVID, they were all women led. I would never have predicted that.
Wow.
And I think a lot of it had to do with that willingness as a female leader to just jump in and say, yes, we're going to try something, or yes, we're going to do it. And there were at the time some larger corporate brands. There were a lot of smaller brands. Most of them are what I would describe as like mid-size American brands, right? But still independently owned. So that was a really big surprise. The other things that I've noticed, like I said, having young people on your team, on your decision-making team, or being a parent to Gen Zers, especially Gen Zers who are somewhere around drinking age, that makes a huge difference in their willingness to listen and consider possibilities. The other thing that I notice is risk aversion. So if a brand is highly risk averse. I just know from the very beginning that it's going to be really hard to ever make any headway because, some of it is the short termism. And this is actually, we can talk about this. So, I'm going to go into geeky marketing talk. I apologize to everyone who's listening. I get to talk to a marketer, so I'm going to do it. So what's being predicted is that in the digital marketing space, we're moving toward a cookieless internet or a privacy-based internet.
Yeah.
And I actually am so excited about it because what it means is that people who are good creative marketers and do their strategy and, understand proper marketing, not like I'm a social media poster, therefore I'm a marketer sort of thing, can go back to doing our jobs in a long-term creative brand growth kind of way. And that's something that I'm like, I know that it's going to be hard. There's going to be a lot of adapting, but we've been encumbered by this need for really rapid demonstration of returns. And I find that is hindering a lot of creativity in our marketing.
Yeah, the thing is that if we are not fast enough or good enough changing the way we communicate, we are seeing it a bit of like beer and RTDs and aperitivos and
they're all kicking our ass.
I mean, like it's not, if you don't really transform yourself, you are not going to be alive in 4 years.
So is that something that as you lead the brand that you're looking at? So coming from this strong marketing background, are you saying, okay, here's what's happening right now, but I'm paying more attention to what I think is going to be happening in 3, 5, 7 years down the line?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, yes. In terms of the styles we produce, in terms of our investments in production, I mean, wine is part of our culture. It's not going to die anywhere, but maybe lots of projects that are not seeing where the market goes will. And of course, a concentration of the business. I mean, like scale-wise and production-wise, here in Esther Mendoza, you have maybe 80% of the producers have vineyards of less than 5 hectares. So they'll have to move fast, otherwise they will lose their business. And you see nowadays, you go to Eastern Mendoza and you see lots of vineyards dying. And
that's sad.
Yes, lots of vineyards, like old vineyards dry, like you see them dying there. And it's a huge transformation of the industry. What it really people lacks here, it's a market perspective. It's a true international market perspective.
It's everywhere.
Yeah, it's true.
No, I shouldn't make that sweeping statement because I don't think that's true. But I do think, and it's nice, you started earlier in this conversation talking about some of the things that you've done and some that worked well, but also things that didn't work well. And what's really refreshing about that is that I notice it's so hard for our industry to talk about the things that we've tried that don't work. We don't get case studies the way that tech and SaaS companies, they'll put their case studies up all over the place and you can see the successes and failures and it's very public. But we don't talk about that a lot in wine. And so we can't learn from it in a way that, that notion of rising tide lifts all boats. We're all sort of building upward together.
Yeah. At the end of the day, it's an agriculture business, and agriculturists are very rustic people. I'm not saying it in a wrong way. I mean, like, you have to take care of the plant, but in some part of your head.
I can't keep a houseplant alive. So like, I have a ton of respect for it. I think this notion, and I actually think it's one of the worst things that I see happening in the internet era, is that we're expected as business people to know how to do everything. So a small producer is expected to know how to be a marketer and a salesperson and a distributor and an e-commerce this and a communicator and a storyteller and a photographer. And it's just, when you ask who are the people who are doing great, innovative things, a lot of it really does come down to money. It comes down to a willingness to spend. And nobody wants to hear that. I mean, nobody ever wants to talk about money.
Yes.
But it makes a huge difference.
Yeah, but again, like I think in the head of every wine producer should be at least, I don't know, 10, 50%. Not, I mean, like you have to think of fertilizers. You have to think of, I don't know, a press. You have
barrels.
But you have to, I mean, of course, when I started studying, I remember it like being the challenge of every marketer to really transmit the importance. But it's not only because, of course, we want to do nice things, and because it's just for the survival of your own business. So now more than ever, you have to think of the market trends, because in 5 years, 10 years, you won't be able to sustain your vineyard if you're not looking to the market.
So that is a very tidy segue with your fabulous new gigantic winery location, and your rescued vines and your natural wines. Sort of, what's next? What is the next boundary that you are pushing, Liz?
Sustainability. I mean, like I really, really believe in sustainability, not only because of the business, because of the way I live. And when I say sustainability, it's much more than just a green label on the packaging. Is taking care of the lives of the people who work with you, like the plant, the animals that live there, and mainly the people. I'm really interested in giving our people a very better quality of life, the best life that they can live, they can have. So for me, is making things grow, much for the sake of seeing things grow in maybe a romantic way of saying, but happy people. I want to work with happy people. I want to work with healthy people, with healthy environment. Of course, we are converting our vineyards to organic, and we are applying to the sustainability protocols and the certification and the fair trade certification. Of course, we are doing that, but we are not doing that because, it's a part, but for the business sake of it, but for the people, for the people and the land and the animals. So that my challenge is to avoid every greenwashing thing that can happen within the company, but to truly, truly make it for the land.
That's awesome. And you know what? That's such a good, tangible goal to work toward. I can 100% get behind that. Liz, thank you so much. I really appreciate you giving me an hour of your time.
Thank you, Polly.
And that's a wrap. Thank you for listening, and a great big thank you to Liz for joining us today. The Italian Wine Podcast is among the leading wine podcasts in the world, and the only one with daily episodes. Tune in each day and discover all our different shows. Be sure to join us next Sunday for another look at the world of wine marketing.
Thanks for listening to this episode of Italian Wine Podcast, brought to you by Vinitaly Academy, home of the gold standard of Italian wine education. Do you want to be the next ambassador? Apply online at vinitalyinternational.com for courses in London, Austria, and Hong Kong, the 27th to the 29th of July. Remember to subscribe and like Italian Wine Podcast and catch us on SoundCloud, Spotify, and wherever you get your pods. You can also find our entire back catalog of episodes at ItalianWinePodcast.com.
Hi guys, I'm Joy Livingston and I am the producer of the Italian Wine Podcast. Thank you for listening. We are the only wine podcast that has been doing a daily show since the pandemic began. This is a labor of love and we are committed to bringing you free content every day. Of course, this takes time and effort, not to mention the cost of equipment, production, and editing. We would be grateful for your donations, suggestions, requests, and ideas. For more information on how to get in touch, go to ItalianWinePodcast.com.